Alrighty, good afternoon and good evening, team. So this is week 2A with the media discussion for MPA 540, Human Resource Management for the Public Sector by Eric Sandoval on the 19th of July, excuse me. So let's go ahead and dive in. So we're gonna have our little brief overview. So part one is career in the U.S. State Department as a Foreign Service officer and why. And then we're gonna dive a little into state and local job postings. So let's go ahead and begin. So the first one that I chose as a full the first one that I chose is okay, so global careers, meaningful service. So I chose to be a political officer, and as mentioned right here, analyze current events, advocate for US policy, positions and manage programs. So a little bit about what it takes and some of the requirements, application process, how one can prepare. So first and foremost, for the as the foreign service career tracks, um, I chose, as I mentioned, a political officer. Uh, as I was reviewing some of the postings, it just caught my attention just to be able to work with foreign governments, being able to monitor political events, and also help the United States understand what's happening in other countries. Being able to learn about world events and international relations is extremely meaningful. So this career just essentially seemed like the best fit for myself after reviewing everything. And I also like how it, brings together a lot of research, analyzing communication and problem solving while representing the U.S., especially while being especially overseas. Now, during the application process, I noticed that it's not necessarily a simple application. Just like any application, it starts with submitting an application, and then you have to take the foreign service officer test. Then, if you pass, your qualifications and personal narratives are reviewed, and then you have to go through assessments, interviews, writing exercises, group activities, medical examinations, security clearances. It's definitely a long process, but it makes sense that because these employees represent the United States, especially while being around the world. I did include a little bit of more detailed information, just what I got on their website, but that's we could review, we could dive into that a little later on. Um, and so essentially, how I would prepare. So if I wanted to become a political officer, I would start by following current events, learning about international politics. Also want to sharpen, a lot of your public and writing skills, public speaking skills, writing skills, because essentially communication is a huge part of the job. Especially learning another language would be a huge advantage, and I look for internships, volunteer opportunities that would give me experience working with people from different backgrounds. I also spent a lot of time studying the test, so I'd be prepared before applying. We could look into recruitment videos or try to find information about that, right? So measuring and understanding, rating video effectiveness for new candidates, information for one or more sections on the textbooks. So I thought the recruitment videos would be effective. They'll show employees, they'll show real employees talking about their experiences instead of just what's on the job listing. What's on the job on the website. That'll help people. That'll help the new recruit the new team. Hear their stories, help them really understand what the career is actually like. Um, and then also and how foreign officers make a difference. And then we can also add more information about what a normal workday would look like, along with some of the challenges people face, so applicants really know what to expect. And a little advice to improve recruitment and diversity. Based on what we learned in the textbook, I think the State Department could improve recruitment by reaching out to more colleagues. For example, by more colleges, community colleges, and universities. We can also expand internships and mentorship programs so students learn about these careers earlier. Um, and then the hiring process can seem pretty intimidating. So providing clear information and guidance would probably help encourage more people to apply. Increase outreach as well to different communities will also help build a more diverse workforce. Because I personally do outreach for my company, so I really understand what the outreach section looks like. And now, so state and local job postings. So what I chose the California Department of Developmental Services as my state job, and then for local job, I was a little interested in the code enforcement. I thought it kind of intertwines naturally with the little foreign service with officer. So now for my, as I mentioned, for my job state posting, I selected that within the. I selected. I'm sorry. I selected that for a position with the California Department of Developmental Services. I found it on the California Cal Careers website because I wanted to choose a position that's close to where I live in the Coachella Valley. And this posting includes almost everything listed in Exhibit 3.3 from our textbook, including the salary, job post, qualifications, application instructions, contact information, and also helps explain that applicants must complete background investigations and other hiring requirements before they can be hired. And then for my local job postings, I chose the code enforcement with the city of Coachella. I found out on the city's government job website. I'm actually very familiar with that one. Um, I picked this job well because it really does serve the local community by enforcing city codes and helping keep neighborhoods safe and well maintained. This position clearly includes the job title, salary range, qualification, job responsibilities, application deadline, and instructions for applying. It was very organized and easy to read. Um, and then so a little bit of some of the similarities and differences that I came across. So when I compared the federal, state, and local job postings, I noticed they all included kind of the basic information, as all jobs do. The job title, salary, duties, qualifications, application instructions. But essentially, amongst all of them, the biggest difference was the hiring process. For the FSO, the Federal Service, the Foreign Service Officer, has had a lot more additional steps, including exams, oral assessments, and security clearances. The California state job also has extra requirements like background checks and state applications, but it's less complicated than the federal process. And the local code enforcement was the most straightforward because they mainly focus on qualifications by responsibilities and the application process. But overall, I think the hiring process becomes more detailed as the level of government and responsibility increases. But for me, working on this assignment kind of gave me a better understanding of how government hiring works at the federal, state, and local levels. I learned that even though each level has different hiring requirements, they're all looking for qualified candidates who are interested in public service. The career that interested me the most was the foreign service political officer because I enjoyed learning about international affairs essentially and diplomacy. And then comparing these jobs also showed me how the hiring process changes depending on the level of government and job responsibilities for this position. Thank you so much. I hope you all enjoy.